Hi, I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation and welcome back to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this Mirabella LED strip light. As always, we're going to see what's in the box and how it goes when it's set up in the native app. In another video, I'm going to even have a crack at hacking it with some custom firmware as well. So for all of that and more, while I roll the intro, take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified when I release new videos each week. And let's get started. So I mentioned in a previous video that it's starting to get difficult for me to go shopping without impulse purchasing smart home gadgets when I see them. And this is a prime example of that problem. I was in Bunnings the other day getting some storage containers. I wandered through the electrical section just to see what they had. And I spotted these Mirabella Genio pixel LEDs for $49.94 and I grabbed them. And they also had some that are embedded in a rubberized kind of tube with a diffuser, which I thought might be good for some outdoor lighting effects. Now, they definitely seemed a bit more difficult for cutting to custom sizes, which is why I ended up choosing these ones, which I'm expecting to just be the bare LED strips. Now, we've looked at the Mirabella LED strips before, but the ones that we've looked at are not exactly smart. We've got them on top of the bar here, and they just show one color across the whole LED strip. Unlike these underneath the bar, where we can show different colors on every single LED in the strip. This light strip, the pixel light strip, are supposed to be addressable LEDs, which means we should be able to achieve the same, if not at least a very similar effect, similar to the SK6812s we've looked at in previous episodes. So let's start by taking a look around the box. Now, to begin with, on the front in the top right hand corner, we see that this is a 4-meter strip of LEDs. And back over here, we've got the name of the product, the branding. It's color changing. There are addressable LEDs with over 12 scenes to suit any occasion, allegedly. It works with both Google and Amazon assistants. We've got this sound sensitive logo here, and also this pixel logo here, the LED RGB pixel logo, and a quick pic of the app here as well. Now, if you look really close at the box, I'm not sure if you'll be able to make that out on camera, but you might see that there are 3 contacts visible on the LED strip at each of these cutting points, and we can see that they're in groups of 3 LEDs in between the cutting points, and if you look really closely, you might just be able to make out that the picture shows that it's 12 volts. So there's only 12 volts digital in, digital out, and ground. So it's the 3 contacts, so digital into each section, digital out from each section. I'm seeing that there's what appears to be a driver chip in each section, which makes me think that it might be a case that these LED strips are a per group of 3 for each color, rather than each individual pixel on the strip being addressable. Based on them being 12 volts with only the digital in and digital out pin, they could be WS2812 LEDs. I don't expect that these are going to be SK6812s. Because they are 12 volt, I've not seen any 12 volt SK6812s before. And the other thing I'm not too sure about is this driver chip, so we'll take a closer look at that as well. So on the back, we've got our usual pairing information, more of the same color changing 4-meter LED strip light, and we've got the adapter is included. It is a 12 volt 1 amp DC adapter. We can select color of choice from the color wheel panel. There's a schedule, a dimmer, and a timer. And for functions, we've got 12 static modes, 12 preset modes, 6 music modes. We've also got this graphic here that suggests that the power adapter needs to be indoors and the LED strip can go either indoors or outdoors. In the bottom here, we've got that it's compatible with Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant to bring voice control to your Genio lights. The system requirements are iOS 9 or Android 4.4 or higher, Wi-Fi 802.11n 2.4 gigahertz, and dimmable with the Mirabella Genio app. So there's not really anything else on the rest of the box. So something else, I did check out this model number on the Blackadder Tasmotor repository, and I wasn't able to find anything on this particular model. So there's no template to run Tasmotor on it. I'm not sure if Tasmotor can work with pixel LEDs anyway. I'm hoping that when we get to the hacking video that I might be able to run WLED on here. There's not really much else on the box. It's just this Genio logo on the other 4 sides. I'm going to cut the little clear plastic sticker here, and we'll just do that and gently close the knife and open up the box, and I'll move that back over to this camera here, and we see we have got the LED strip on a plastic reel. Looking at the LED strip, it has a weatherproof coating, so a silicon rubberized coating, and if we look, we can see that. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that on the LED itself. So we've got the 6 contacts on the surface mount LED, which makes me think that these are just RGB SMD LEDs, and that this driver chip is what's doing all of the work. We've got 12 volt digital out, digital in, and ground, and the 3-pin connector for the control board to plug into. So I'll grab that out. I'll grab the controller box. So fairly simple. It's just got the 3-pin connector with a little arrow that you line up on the LED strip to plug it in. There's the little box. It has a button, presumably to change modes. There's a little pinhole there, which I'm guessing is for the microphone for the sound active functions. We could probably snap this open, which we might do in a minute. And we've got the input for the power. And our power adapter here is for the LED driver. It is a 12 volt 1 amp 12 watt power supply, and that's everything that is important in here. We've got a little double-sided sticky thing for the control box, and we've got some safety information about the LED strip and some instructions. Okay, so I've plugged the power in over here. Let's just plug it in, and we've got first light. It's just flashing red. I'm assuming that means that it's in pairing mode. So before we try pairing it, I'm going to unplug the power, and I might unplug the control box here as well. And I might just jimmy open the controller to see what's inside. So under the edge here. Okay, so once I've popped a couple of clips around this edge here, the bottom comes off pretty easily. Now I'm just going to take a look here and see if I can figure out what this is. Okay, so it is a custom PCB with the Wi-Fi antenna on here, and this is our main control chip, and it is a Realtek manufactured chip. It's an RTL 87 something something something. So I need a magnifying glass or something to be able to actually read that chip number, or a really high zoom. I'm just going to take some photos of this board so that we can reference them later. Okay, so I'm just putting it back together, just snapping the case back together. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to hack this one. That being said, there are some infrared inputs here as well as an extra ground. So there might be something out there about modifying these RTL units. So something we are starting to see more frequently with Tuya units is these RTL chips instead of the ESP8266, which makes them a lot harder to hack because RTL chips cannot run Tasmodar. So I've just clipped that back together. We will plug in the LED strip again, and we've got the red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on my iPhone, I'm opening up Tuya Smart, and I'm going to tap the plus button in the top right corner and tap Add Device as always. In the lighting section, I'm going to find a Wi-Fi strip when it finishes loading. So we've got strip lights, Wi-Fi, we've got the force and our Wi-Fi password in there. I'll tap next. And we need to reset the device because it's not blinking at the moment. So we can, I think what we can do is press and hold the button, and it's now blinking. So I'll tap next and select the status, and I'm going to go with blinking quickly because that's what it's doing. And we will now add the device. This adding seems to be pretty simple. I think one of the benefits of the RTL chip over the ESP8266s is that it supports this easy mode of pairing, where it uses a Bluetooth peer-to-peer connection. So it's adding the device, the lights stopped blinking, and we've got Genio LED pixel strip. I'm just going to change the name to Pixel Strip, and I can hear my Amazon Echo in the other room is announcing that it's picked that up. So that bodes well for setting it up in Home Assistant a bit later on. So we called it Pixel Strip. I'll put it in the dining room for now, and we'll tap done, and done successfully. So inside our interface here, I'm just going to leave this strip coiled up for now, and I'll just kind of slide through some of the colors. We've got the greens, we've got the blues, and then we bring some red back in through the purple. That is pretty basic. We've got, you know, our primary colors here, purple, turquoise. We've got a brightness slider here, and I'm not sure what this is. It's almost like a contrast slider. Yeah, okay. So it's a saturation slider. It's attempting to do a white color, but you can probably see on screen that that is heavily shifted towards the blue spectrum, and this is one of the reasons I'm not a fan of using RGB LED strips to create white light, because they do shift very much towards the blue spectrum. So across the top we've got white, so that appears to be trying to create a very cool white, and I can grab this slider here and try to go through to a warm white. That's more of kind of a greeny orange than a warm white. It is impressive that they're offering a color temperature. It might be better with some more diffusion on the LED strip. I'll tap the static here. So we've got, this is supposed to be a candle. We've got some different scenes here. So candle, Christmas candy. So you might be able to see that there's different colors through the strip here. We've got Santa Claus. So again, we've got different colors through the strip. We've got a romantic kind of purpley one, green rainbow, blue purple, fire eye, gold ring, fired blue, Halloween, Superman, and dazzling. Some alright little presets there. I think it'd be more interesting to see what that looks like when it's rolled out. We'll take a look at some of the dynamic scenes. So at the moment we're on color spectrum, and it's kind of fading through the colors, and we've got a speed here, which we can slow right down, and it will fade through the colors a bit slower, or we can speed it right up and it'll go quite quickly. Let's try a rainbow. I want to try to see where the LEDs change. So what's a little bit weird to me is the positioning of these control chips at the third position along the strip. Can't quite make out the circuit diagram underneath there. So we've got a Cylon function here. So I can see that it is breaking at the cut points on here. So each of these looks like each of these is the end point for a group. So it is in groups of 3. Let's try the confetti. Yeah, so the groups of 3 are flashing together. Color swing. Light show. There's some pretty nice effects built into it. There's a fire. So, what's this one? Christmas candy. Santa Claus, Halloween, dazzling, and party. That's pretty cool. We've got a DIY. So blink, breathe, colorful Cylon, color wipe, twinkle, blue fire, 2 color chase, a 1 color chase, color strip, a ribbon, and a marquee. And we can edit any of these, so we can change the name. We can add different colors. If we didn't have too many colors, we could add different colors in here. We can change the saturation of a color if we wanted to, or we can remove them or add different ones. And if we hit submit, that's going to change that. So I'm just going to back out of there. And lastly, we've got local music. And the local music mode, I'm not sure how well that's coming through on the camera, but that's using this microphone on the control box. And as I talk, you'll see that it's lighting up the LED strip. So that's kind of cool. And again, with that, we've got different settings. So we've got shooting star, falling star, sky rainbow, star rainbow, and sky star. So there's some interesting settings in there. We can change the sensitivity of the microphone. So if I turn that right down, it's going to take me pretty much tapping on the microphone itself for it to pick up. In the top left, we have a cog that we can tap on, and we can see some setting configuration. We've got 150 unit. I don't know what any of this means. That's very strange. I'll just leave it at 150 and confirm. Let's go back to DIY and see if that's any different. No, it's still the same thing. So we've just backed out of the unit itself, and we see that we've got some scenes recommended for the new device. We can turn on the lights on a timer, turn off the lights when I leave home, turn on the light if it's raining or snowing. So that's kind of interesting. We can use our weather information to see some different results from the LED strip. I'll go back into the strip so that we are looking at it. We're on the DIY marquee at the moment. So even on the color, that cog is this config setting, which is a 150 unit. I don't know what that means. Nothing in the manual that came with the unit that tells me what that config setting actually does. Down the bottom, we've got the timer, so we can turn it on or off, and we can tell it what to do in 1 minute's time and then confirm or cancel that action. So in 1 minute it's going to, I'm assuming that's a flip-flop, and it's just going to turn off. We've also got a schedule option here, and we can add a timer in here so that we want it to turn on, and we can say that we want it to do that at 2:45, and we can either do that once or we can do it on a daily schedule, and we can put a note on there to say turned on. We'll save that, and I'll turn on the notification, and I'll save that. And so in about a minute it's going to say that it's turned on. So I'll back out, and the power button is right in the middle, so I will turn that off, and it's saying touch to turn on. I'm just going to give that about another 30 seconds or so, and we should then see the strip turn on. Okay, and the strip just turned on, bang on time. So that was the schedule, and in the top right hand corner we've got our edit function, as we always do with Tuya Smart. We've got device information, tap to run automations, device review, so we can leave it a review and submit that. We've got our third-party control, offline notification, and we can share the device, add it to a group, and check the device network. All of the standard things that we have in our Tuya Smart integrations in the native app. Okay, so we've taken a look at the app, and it's about what we would expect. Let's see what we can see in Home Assistant, if anything. So as always in Home Assistant here, I'm going to go to the configuration, devices and services, and we're on our integrations tab here. And in our Tuya section here, we've got 13 devices and 45 entities. I'm clicking on the 3-dot stack and going to hit reload, and we should hopefully see this change. It was reloaded, and we now have 14 devices and 46 entities. So if I click on 14 devices, we can find the pixel strip here, and we have the controls. Now, unlike the camera that we reviewed the other week, we don't have any of the configuration items here. I'm hoping that that isn't so much of a problem here, but let's take a look at the controls. So I'll click on the icon, and we'll click on the controls button here in the top right. Okay, so we have some control. We've got our brightness, so we can bring the brightness down. We've got off and on control, and we've got our color wheel, so we can go to a blue, we can go to a green, and we can go to a red, or we can try to go to this white, or we've got a color temperature slider, so we can go to this kind of orangey white or the bluey white that we saw before. Somewhere in between might not be too bad with this strip. It may still seem a bit skewed towards the blue side. I'm noticing that we have no control over any effects, sound control, anything like that in here. So that is a little bit disappointing, but I'm not too surprised, being that this is a Tuya based unit. So straight out of the box and paired with Tuya Smart, it worked with our existing Tuya integration, the newer method of using the Tuya integration, and it works pretty well. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, but it's okay for probably most use cases. Now, just out of interest, I've just tested what the button does, and it just changes the scene on the unit to a different scene. Now, there's a couple of great things with these strips and a couple of disappointing things with these strips. So let's talk about those now. In the pros column, these are far and away above what we saw with the previous version, the ones on top of my bar section here. those LEDs can only do one color across the entire strip, whereas this at least can do some pixel type effects where we have different parts of the strip being dark and other parts being lit, and also different colors across the length of the strip. Something I am a little bit disappointed about is that they are in groups of 3, especially for the price of this LED strip. I think I could probably build something for less money that does all of the same things, would be individually addressable LEDs rather than being in groups of 3. I will say this isn't the first time that I have seen commercial LED strips that are in groups of 3. The last time I tested LifeX LED strips, which I wasn't particularly impressed with, I will say, they were in these groups of 3. As always with these LED strips though, you can still cut them at intervals of those groups of 3, but you can't cut them in between each LED. They do have to be in those groups of 3. Something else I do like about these is that they are a 12 volt LED strip versus the 5 volt on the SK6812s that you can see behind me. 12 volts is a lot easier to get the power to the end of the strip. Because of voltage drop, I have seen some problems with the SK6812s where you might need to run some heavier gauge wire and solder that in at different points through the LED strip. Thankfully, this 3-meter strip behind me is fine. I quite like the brightness of the strip, so I think that's about what you would want from something like this. You don't want them to be overpowering and blinding everybody, but you also don't want them to be too dim. I think these could be particularly good in, say, a retail display to backlight some items that you wanted to draw attention to, even just using the existing programming. I am a little bit worried about this trend of using the RTL chips instead of using the ESP8266 chips. I suspect that the RTL is actually probably a little bit more capable than the ESP, but as far as I'm aware, there's currently no custom firmware that will run on the RTL chip. I will have to do a deeper dive on that to see if I can find something. It's possible that we might even be able to get a custom build of WLED running on this control box, and if we can do that, I will shoot a video about that and we will do some experiments. I like that there's a built-in microphone to do some sound reactive effects straight out of the box, and this silicon cover, the soft silicon cover, does make the strips weatherproof, which is quite nice as well. So you could quite reasonably use these as part of a holiday display, even again just using the standard programs that are on there without having to hack the firmware and put your own custom firmware on there. So that is the Mirabella Genio Wi-Fi Pixel LED strip light. For $49.94, I'm not sure that the value is necessarily that great based on some of the limited functionality that I've already mentioned in the pros and cons section there. But by the same token, I think that if you are just looking for something to give you some nice effect lighting, it might be good for parties. It might be good for maybe lighting up a retail display, some under-shelf lighting, or even for a kid's room. It's not terrible value. I think it would do perfectly fine for those kinds of use cases. The value for money proposition is really about the fact that this is a turnkey solution. You can pick these up, plug them in, and go. For my personal preference, I would prefer to custom build something like what you see behind me with the LED strip under the bar here. Building something like this for under $50 would be a bit of a stretch. That's not to say that it's not possible, but as I said before, the value proposition with this particular unit, I think, is very much in the fact that it is a turnkey solution. So that's all we have for this video, and I hope that it helped you in your home automation journey. Comment down below with your thoughts and any home automation ideas you'd like to see covered in a future video. And don't forget to follow HiveMind Automation on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like, and if you're not already subscribed, please consider changing that now. And while you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notified when I release new videos each week. If you're currently in the market for a VPN provider, I've also recently partnered with NordVPN because they have the best infrastructure of any of the VPN providers I've researched. They also have a strict no logs policy and servers all over the planet. On top of that, they've got apps for just about every platform for both desktop and mobile. So no matter what platform you're using and where you are in the world, you can protect your personal information while you browse the web. So get a VPN today, and if you use the link in the video description to sign up for NordVPN, you'll help the channel out. Speaking of helping the channel out, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to help to support the channel but you're not in the market for a VPN, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. And those contributions through Buy Me a Coffee are put towards making more and better content for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.